Afghanistan are through to the Super 8s of the T20 World Cup. A convincing win here against Papua New Guinea and Trinidad. Daren Ganga probably wasn't their most clinical performance of the group stage so far, but it's 3 wins from 3, and most importantly is the Q next to their name.
Indeed, I think the outcome was achieved in this fixture. For the first time, Afghanistan had a chase before them. They batted first in the previous 2 matches, so less scoreboard pressure this time around, a little more scoreboard pressure. But they've just shown that with sort of more overs in hand, that middle to lower order could really be placed to score runs for them. I know we've seen a dominance by the opening pair in the previous 2 matches, but today Gulbuddin Naib and Mohamed Nabi came to the fore, had the biggest partnership of the innings. They showed that they have the ability to adapt in testing conditions, and that to me will give them a confidence booster. Going to St. Lucia to compete against the West Indies, who knows? They might experiment a little bit more because they know when they get to that Super 8 round, it will be do or die pretty much. You got to win to get yourself in that top 2 position.
It started for them again with the ball. Fazal Haq Faruqi is the leading wicket taker in this tournament and has been seriously impressive in that power play phase. We also saw Naveen ul Haq taking wickets today, which feels like a big thing for them. Afghanistan, obviously, historically has always been about spin as a team. But in this World Cup, we're seeing their seamers as well.
Yeah, and of course, they're playing the conditions well. Rashid Khan touched on it. The fact that many of their players have had the chance of playing here in the West Indies across the different venues, understanding the conditions. Naveen ul Haq, to me, seems like a local West Indian player. The amount of times he's been in the Caribbean, playing in the CPL, so too Rashid Khan, Mohamed Nabi. So it's not surprising that their bowlers are dominating in the conditions. They understand the lengths required. Fazal Haq Faruqi is showing his vast skill set, not having a lot of game time behind his name, to come into this World Cup and to be the leading wicket taker after 3 matches. It speaks volumes of the quality of the seam attack in this Afghanistan team. And I haven't even spoken about Rashid Khan, who is one of the best in the world in terms of a wrist spinner. And we just recently saw Mohamed Nabi being ranked the first and #1 T20I all-rounder. So things coming together nicely for Afghanistan, and I'm sure Jonathan Trott, Dwayne Bravo, they'll be very confident going to that game against West Indies and into the Super 8s.
This was the group that everyone had down as the group of death. West Indies and New Zealand with Afghanistan. Afghanistan were probably 3rd favourites for it heading into this competition. To go through with a game to spare for a country, you know, if you zoom out, not a traditional cricket playing country, only started playing at the T20 World Cup in I think 2010. For them to be getting through and knocking New Zealand out in the process is a huge achievement.
Yeah, and I think we must reflect on the fact that in the last ICC Men's T20 World Cup, they had a very good chance of qualifying for the semi-final. Australia knocked them out. So this is the consistency that you often associate with a top quality team. And they are a quality team. Mind you, they're ranked number 10 in the world in terms of T20Is, but they're playing like a top 3 ranked team. Given the form that we've seen, one of the things I love about this team is the variety in skills that we see. They're not a group of overcoached cricketers. They're more passionate than anything else, and they're fearless in their approach. You look at it from a batting point of view with Ramanullah Gurbaz at the top, Zadran at the top, and then you have guys who have not had a great deal of opportunity with the bat. So they still have potential that we've not seen. And then with the ball, they look like the near perfect bowling lineup for conditions here in the Caribbean.
Their next game is against West Indies. It's now effectively a dead rubber. But then when they head into the Super 8s, they're going to be in a group with India and Australia. They won't be favourites for that group either, but I tell you something, I don't think India and Australia will be fancying playing Afghanistan.
Well, I know that the attitude is not going to change. You listen to Rashid Khan, you listen to the tone of the leadership group within that Afghanistan team. They're taking every single game like it's a final. They don't want to drop their intensity. And again, winning is an attitude. So I would be surprised if they drop their intensity and they play that game like a dead rubber. So to the West Indies, Darren Sammy for the first time in this World Cup alongside Johnson Charles playing at home. That should be a clash of note. And I think it will set the tone for these 2 teams going into the Super 8.
Just lastly, a word on Papua New Guinea. Probably underachieved again with the bat tonight, but did fight pretty hard with the ball and in the field. Good learning experience for them, if nothing else.
Look, they came into this ICC Men's T20 World Cup on the back of 3 wins from 4 T20 internationals. They qualified for this tournament, so that in itself is a celebration. For the second time around, they're in this high standard of play. A team that really doesn't have the infrastructure, the developmental programs to develop quality cricketers, to come here and to start the tournament with a solid game against the West Indies after scoring 136 in that first match and really pushing the home side to get to that total. I felt that much more was expected in their second game against Uganda. They dropped their guard a bit, but today they also showed fight. You know, they played with smiles on their faces. You can see that there's a degree of passion in the game when they play. This will add to their experience at this level. And like the captain said, Vala, he wants more matches against full member countries. That's the only way they're going to improve. But I feel this World Cup in particular, the mere fact that we have 20 teams participating, we've got 9 associate nations, 3 debutants. It feels like a World Cup. It feels like there's proportionate representation from across the globe, and I hope that this sort of format continues.
Convincing win for Afghanistan. They're through to the Super 8s. New Zealand are going home. Thank you for listening to Daren Ganga and myself, Matt Roller, on ESPNcricinfo.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
वॉचो ऐप पे देखो एक OTT के दाम पे सारे OTT शान से।
Watch